First Samuel chapter 7 and 8. And we are still dealing with the Ark of the Covenant, the chest that was stolen by the Philistines, given back to the Israelites. But everybody's scared. Nobody wants it. Everybody's getting sick because of it, because of the mistreatment, and because you just don't mess with God. And he's showing people that. So let's get into the text. The people of Kiriath Jearim got the chest and took it to Abinadab's house, which was on the house in their hill in their town. They chose his son Eleazar to take care of it, and it stayed there for 20 years. During this time, everyone in Israel was very sad and begged the Lord for help. One day, Samuel told all the people of Israel, "If you really want to turn back to the Lord, then prove it. Get rid of your foreign idols, including the ones of the goddess Ashtart. Turn to the Lord with all your heart and worship only him. Then he will rescue you from the Philistines." The people got rid of their idols of Baal and Astarte and began worshiping only the Lord. Then Samuel said, "Tell everyone in Israel to meet together at Mizpah, and I will pray to the Lord for you." The Israelites met together at Mizpah with Samuel as their leader. They drew water from the well and poured it out as an offering to the Lord. On that same day, they went out without eating to show their sorrow, and they confessed they had been unfaithful to the Lord. When the Philistine rulers found out about the meeting at Mizpah, they sent an army there to attack the people of Israel. And the Israelites were afraid when they heard that the Philistines were coming. "Don't stop praying," they told Samuel. "Ask the Lord our God to rescue us." Samuel begged the Lord to rescue Israel. Then he sacrificed a young lamb to the Lord. Samuel had not even finished offering the sacrifice when the Philistines started to attack. But the Lord answered his prayer and made a thunder crash all around them, and the Philistines panicked and ran away. The men of Israel left Mizpah and went after them as far as the hillside below Beth-kar, killing every enemy soldier they caught. The Philistines were so badly beaten that it was quite a while before they attacked Israel again. After the battle, Samuel set up a monument out between Mizpah and the rocky cliffs. He named it Help Monument, to remind Israel how much the Lord had helped them. For as long as Samuel lived, the Lord helped Israel fight the Philistines. The Israelites were even able to recapture their towns and territory between Ekron and Gath. Israel was also at peace with the Amorites. Samuel was a leader in Israel all his life. Every year he would go around to the towns of Bethel, Gilgal, and Mizpah, where he served as the judge for the people. Then he would go back to his home in Ramah and do the same thing there. He also had an altar built for the Lord at Ramah. Samuel had two sons. The older one was Joel, and the younger one was Abijah. When Samuel was getting old, he let them be leaders at Beersheba. But they were not like their father. They were dishonest and accepted bribes and to give unfair decisions. One day the nation's leaders came to Samuel at Ramah and said, "You're an old man. You set a good example for your sons, but they haven't followed it. Now we want a king to be our leader, just like all the other nations. Choose one for us." Samuel was upset to hear the leaders, they wanted a king. So he prayed about it, and the Lord answered, "Samuel, do everything they want you to do. I am really the one they have rejected as their king. Ever since the day I rescued my people from Egypt, they have turned from me to worship idols. Now they are turning away from you. Do everything they ask, but warn them and tell them how a king will treat them." Samuel told the people who were asking for a king what the Lord had said. "If you have a king, this is how he will treat you. He will force your sons to join his army. Some of them will ride in his chariot, some will serve in the cavalry, and others will run ahead of his own chariot. Some of them will be officers in charge of 1,000 soldiers, and others will be in charge of 50. Still others will have to farm the king's land and harvest his crops and make weapons and parts for his chariots. Your daughters will have to make perfume to do his cooking and baking. The king will take your best fields as well as your vineyards and olive orchards and give them to his own officials. He will also take 1/10 of your grain and grapes, and give it to his officers and officials. The king will take your slaves and your best young men and your donkeys and make them do his work. He will also take 1/10 of your sheep and goats. You will become the king's slaves. and you will finally cry out for the Lord to save you from the king you wanted. But the Lord won't answer your prayers. The people would not listen to Samuel. No, they said, we want to be like other nations. We want a king to rule us and lead us in battle. Samuel listened to them and then told the Lord exactly what they had said. Do what they want, the Lord answered. Give them a king. Samuel told the people to go back to their homes. So here's a map of this time period that's taken place. There's some things that I want to show you. So remember, when they stole the Ark of the Covenant, came down through here, up through here, back into Gath. It landed in Kiriath Jearim, which is in this area, just a little east and north of Jerusalem. They met in Mizpah for their little powwow that they had. Mizpah is over here in this area. So it's really not very far for the Philistines to come up to attack, not too far away from there. Before Samuel in his prayers and God intervenes and takes control and takes care of the Philistines. And we're going to find that for years and years and years and decades, it's the Philistines that are the thorn in the flesh of the Israelites. It's the Amorites that all of those tribes are trying to take advantage. Samuel doesn't want them to have a king. God doesn't want them to have a king. But God knows that this rejection, as he said, is a rejection of God, because God is supposed to be their king. He's the one that's provided for them. And he's right. The Israelites have stopped following everything that God has had them to do from the very beginning. I mean, they've rebelled against God and wanted to be like other countries. And so what we're going to find is that finally God says, okay, I'm going to let you have a king. But life is not going to be any better. Life, in fact, is going to get worse because God is not worshipped like he is supposed to be. We also see Samuel. Samuel's got so many good qualities, but just like Eli, we see that he doesn't do a very good job of raising his boys, and his boys are evil, and they are taking advantage of the Israelites and taking their money. And so even as we grow, even when we can be faithful to God, we still have to instill that in the people that we love, or we fail miserably. Stay faithful to God. Have a great day.